this chapter this morning and thinking about life. I like it because it's like life under the sun, and it's descriptive. So chapter 8, verse 6, because for every matter there is a time and judgment. Because for every matter, actually 5, well, it can go back to verse 4, but I'll start there at verse 6. Because for every matter there is a time and judgment. There are, let's say you have a job, it doesn't go so well, but you persevere, you're patient. It still continues to be a problem. In a marriage, not going so well, it continues. And you're actually looking for a judgment or resolution to the problem. Okay, so for every matter, there is a time. There's a time. It may get better, but it may be 2 years, 5, 10. It may be a long time. Though the misery of man increases greatly, for he does not know what will happen. So who can tell him when it will occur? He does not know what will happen. He doesn't know if it will get better or worse. And there is misery involved. I think of a man in jail. Well, Joseph in Egypt, years. And he doesn't know. Like, will this be solved? Will it get better? So we are prepared in our hearts for this, realizing that life may not go well, and it's for a time. And it says, though the misery of man increases greatly. So we have trouble and increase. Now, why is this written? It's saying that this is the kind of life that we live. We may live this way. And so in our New Testament, or in our knowledge of God, now remember, Ecclesiastes is not is a book of wisdom, but it leaves us hanging. It defines life as it really is, without this redemption, without the Spirit filling, without the comfort, without the resolution, without the other side of life, which is the second floor of the house. And this is, this is why I like the book. It's like how life is, and then it provokes me to think, how does Jesus answer this? If the misery of man increases greatly, what's the solution? And it is the peace of God that passes understanding. It is the Comforter, the Holy Spirit. It's the words of faith. It's a life of faith. It's the seeking God who will lead us, direct our footsteps. Does it mean that the problem is solved? Not necessarily, but it's life as God gives it to us. It's life as God gives it to us, and there's the both sides. There's the misery increasing, and we're not going to deny that, but we also have the living God, so we can know Him and be adjusted to our misery and our suffering through the reality of God. Yeah. The hope purifies us. 1 John 3. The fruit of the Spirit. Love that endures all things, bears all things, hopes all things. And then the last part here is so who can tell him when it will occur, like when this will be over? And then no one has power over the Spirit to retain the Spirit, and no one has power in the day of death. There it is again, another reality about life under the sun. When a person is dying, they don't have power to prevent death. We don't have power. That's going to happen to us. We're going to die. This is, again, why I like the book, because it just tells me, in the day of death, and no one has power over death in the day of death. So it leaves us hanging. And now I go to Jesus and I see the same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead quickens our mortal bodies, Romans 8:11. That means resurrects our human body out of the grave. Also means that though I go through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me, in Psalm 23. It's awesome. It is just plain awesome that we have this way of thinking. That there won't be any, we'll never have, this is better to have this than nothing in our hearts and minds. It's better to have, so, okay, lastly it says, and there is no release from that war. You think of death, and the death coming, and life in me, I want to live, and death is coming. That's a war, and there's no release from that war. And wickedness will not deliver those who are given to it. That's like in the time of death. How's it go? Righteousness delivers from death is a proverb. First proverb in one of those chapters, maybe 22. Righteousness delivers from death, but wickedness does not deliver from death. And there's no release from that war of death. But wait a minute. That leaves me, what does Jesus say? He goes, there is a release from that war. That's in him. There's a release from that war. He overcame it. So he overcame death. So we are free from it. He that hears my voice, the hour is coming, and now is. They that hear my voice will have passed from death unto life. John 5:24. There is no release from that war. That's human viewpoint. There is release from the war through Jesus Christ. It doesn't mean that there won't be struggle. It doesn't mean that there won't be trouble, pain, sorrow, misery. Yes, at the same time, we have God with us. Yeah. Okay, that's it. God bless you.